The stars outside the prison window shimmered like shards of glass, but inside the containment unit, there was nothing but darkness and fear. Even the guards, hardened by decades of interstellar warfare and ruthless criminals, spoke of her in hushed tones. They called her the Void Serpent, a name whispered across the galaxy with reverence and terror. No one had seen her smile. No one had heard her speak. She was the most feared prisoner alive. Yet, on this day, the hum of the holding cell was interrupted by a sound no one expected, of the soft, deliberate footsteps of a human. Chapter 1. The Arrival. Captain Elias Marlowe had always been the anomaly. Among the Galactic Fleet's finest, he was human, fragile in biology compared to the towering, armored species that dominated space. Most saw humans as fragile, unpredictable, or outright useless in interstellar affairs. Elias knew better. He had survived missions that had killed entire alien fleets, not because he was stronger, but because he understood fear, hope, and risk in ways others could not. "Marcole, you're sure about this?" asked Lieutenant Sparn, a reptilian officer with scaled skin glistening in the prison lights. "This prisoner, she is not just dangerous. She is a force. We have lost fleets to her. Why are you going in?" Elias looked down at the data pad in his hand, detailing the prison's security measures, the recorded movements of the prisoner, and the countless escape attempts she had orchestrated from inside her cell. "Because she won't respond to your kind of fear," Elias said quietly. "And I don't think we're supposed to contain her. I think we're supposed to talk." Svarn hissed, a sound akin to steam escaping a kettle. "Talk? With her? Do you even understand what she did to the Orion Expanse convoy? Entire crews vanished." "I understand enough," Elias replied. "I'm going in. Alone." Chapter 2. First Contact. The cell was vast, more like a cathedral than a prison. Magnetic barriers hummed with lethal energy, but Elias did not flinch. When the gates parted, the silence inside was suffocating. She was there, the Void Serpent. Her hair shimmered with a darkness that seemed to swallow light. Her eyes glowed faintly, like embers in a dying fire. She did not move, but the weight of her presence pressed against Elias's chest like gravity. "You're human," she finally said, her voice like broken glass. It cut through the air, sharp and cold. "Yes," Elias replied, keeping his hands visible. "I am human, and I'm here because I want to understand you." Her laugh was low, almost a growl, and it echoed against the walls of the cell. "Understand me? Every species I've encountered has tried. Empires have sent diplomats, warriors, assassins. They all failed. Why should you be any different?" Elias stepped closer, carefully navigating the magnetic barriers, trusting his own instincts more than any technology. "Because I don't come with weapons. I come with questions." For the first time in decades, she tilted her head. Curiosity flickered across her face. Elias could see it, the faintest trace of something like interest. Chapter 3. The Story of Shadows. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time had no meaning in that cell. Elias did not ask for her past immediately. He let the silence stretch, letting her feel the anomaly. A human who did not fear her. Finally, she spoke. "I was born in the shadow sectors," she said, a story dripping with sorrow and rage. "My people, my planet annihilated before I even learned the taste of freedom. I survived. I killed. I became the weapon my world needed, but when there was nothing left to protect, I became a monster in the eyes of others." Elias nodded slowly. "And that's why they locked you away? Because you scared them?" "Yes," she hissed. "And because I could escape. Because I would escape. I have outsmarted the entire galaxy's security, for 23 cycles. He studied her face. Her rage was real, but beneath it, there was a trace of something fragile, something painfully human. Elias realized she wasn't just a monster. She was a survivor, molded by trauma and loss, judged by others for her strength rather than her choices. And yet, Elias said softly, "Here you are in a cage, waiting for someone to meet you as you are, not as the monster they say you are." For the first time, the Void Serpent said nothing. Chapter 4. Breaking Patterns. Days passed. Guards would come to check on Elias, but he refused to leave the cell. He ate, drank, and slept inside, showing her that his presence was persistent but not threatening. Slowly, her posture changed. She stopped glaring as sharply. She stopped tightening her claws in constant readiness. "You think I can trust you?" she asked one cycle, her voice almost a whisper. "No," Elias admitted. "I don't expect trust. I expect honesty. That's all." She studied him, her glowing eyes piercing into his. Humans, they are strange, fragile, reckless. And yet sometimes they are brave beyond reason. "You're starting to understand me," he said. "Maybe I can understand you too." There was a pause. Then she laughed again. But it wasn't malicious this time. It was soft, almost musical. "You're foolish," she said, but there was no venom. "Why do you care about a monster?" "Because monsters are people too," he replied. "And sometimes people just need someone to see them." Chapter 5. The Test. Word spread through the prison about the human who was inside her cell. Other prisoners whispered that he would die within hours. Guards bet on it. But Elias remained patient, calm. Then the test came. A breach in the security system. The alarms blared. The prison's automated defenses activated. Lasers cut through the halls. Guards scrambled. And yet, the Void Serpent did not attack. Instead, she watched Elias carefully. "Do you see why I am dangerous?" she asked quietly. "Because I could kill you in a heartbeat." "I know," he said. "But I also know you won't. Not with me here. You've never trusted anyone until now." The tension was palpable. Then, without warning, she acted. Not to attack, but to disable the containment field from inside, showing Elias the controls with deft precision. It was a dance of power and trust. "You're letting me do this?" Elias asked, astonished. "I am letting you choose," she said. "And that is rarer than life itself." Chapter 6. Escape and Revelation. Together, they walked through the prison corridors. Not as prisoner and human, not as captor and captive, but as two beings who had recognized a spark of understanding in each other. Elias learned that her name was Lyaritha, that she remembered every face she had lost, that she had lived in the shadows because no one had ever reached out to her without a weapon in hand. As they reached the outer hangar, she paused. Her glowing eyes looked out at the stars. "If I leave," she said, "the galaxy will hunt me again. Fleets will come for me. Planets will demand retribution. Are you prepared for that?" "I am," Elias said. "Because you are not a monster, Lyaritha. You are a survivor. And survivors are meant to live, not hide." For the first time in decades, she allowed herself a smile, a brief, luminous thing that lit up her darkness. Together, they boarded a small, unregistered craft, and with a human at her side, she left the prison behind. Chapter 7. The beginning of trust. As the stars stretched into infinity, Lyaritha spoke quietly. "Why did you stay? Why did you care?" Elias shrugged. "Because sometimes the galaxy needs someone who isn't afraid of the darkness. And sometimes the darkness just needs a friend." For the first time, Lyaritha understood that humans were strange, reckless, fragile,
brave,
and capable of seeing beyond the monsters everyone else feared. And in that moment, two beings, one human, one feared across the stars, found something neither had expected: trust. "Maybe," she said, her voice soft, "maybe not all humans are fools." "And maybe," Elias replied, "not all monsters are meant to be caged." The ship streaked into the unknown, leaving the prison, the galaxy's fear, and centuries of pain behind. In its wake, a new legend began: the human who met the most feared prisoner alive, and the prisoner who finally learned what it meant to be seen. The hum of the ship's engines filled the cabin as stars streaked past. Lyaritha sat in the co-pilot seat, hands folded, still unsure how to process what had just happened. For centuries, she had trusted no one, had believed every connection ended in betrayal or death. And now she was free, not because she fought her way out, but because a human had chosen to see her, not as a monster, but as a being capable of choice. Elias watched her from the pilot's chair. He didn't speak immediately. He let the silence stretch, letting her fill the emptiness with her thoughts. Finally, she broke it. "You saved me," she said softly. "No," Elias corrected, eyes steady on the stars ahead. "I didn't save you. You could have escaped at any time. You survived on your own. I just showed you that someone would stand beside you." Her glowing eyes softened, the ember-like fire in them dimming to something warmer. "And what now?" she asked. "The galaxy will hunt me. The fleets will come. Your people, your kind won't understand why I am here with you." Elias smiled faintly. "Then we'll show them a different truth. That not every legend is a threat. Not every monster deserves a cage. Some just need a chance." For the first time in centuries, Lyaritha allowed herself to hope. The darkness that had been her companion for so long, the constant whisper of fear and vengeance, was no longer the only path before her. Chapter 9: The Test of Trust. Weeks passed as they traveled through uncharted sectors. They avoided major space lanes, kept to the shadows, but each day Lyaritha learned to trust more. She revealed fragments of her past, worlds she had fought for, innocence she had tried to save, and the loneliness that had shaped her into the galaxy's most feared prisoner. Elias never judged. He never offered false praise. He only listened. And slowly, a bond formed, a partnership built on mutual understanding rather than fear, a bridge between species, between survivor and human. Then came the first real challenge. Sensors picked up a Galactic Fleet task force, one of the largest ever deployed to capture Lyaritha. Her eyes flashed with alarm, her instincts screaming to flee or fight. Elias reached for her hand. "We face it together," he said. "We don't run and we don't hide. We show them who you truly are." For the first time, Lyaritha didn't argue. She nodded. Together, they navigated the ambush, outsmarting the fleet with strategy, cunning, and trust, the very qualities that had once been dismissed by the galaxy as human folly. When they emerged unscathed, Lyaritha laughed. Not the dangerous laugh of a predator, but a real, unburdened laugh. Chapter 10: The Legend Rewritten. Months later, news spread through the sectors. A human and the Void Serpent had become an unstoppable duo, not through destruction, but through cunning, diplomacy, and the unlikeliest of alliances. Entire fleets whispered of them, not as threats to be feared blindly, but as symbols of change. Lyaritha looked at Elias one evening as the twin suns of a remote system set over the horizon. "I never thought I would feel peace," she admitted. "And now, I feel it almost every day." Elias smiled. "You earned it. Not because I saved you, not because the galaxy forgives, but because you chose to let someone in." That's stronger than any weapon. She paused, her glowing eyes meeting his. Then, perhaps, I am more than a monster after all. And you are more than a legend, Elias said. You are Lyaritha, a survivor, a warrior, a friend. For the first time, Lyaritha allowed herself to dream, not of vengeance, not of escape, but of life. She had met a human, and in doing so, discovered something the galaxy could not cage: the power of trust, understanding, and choice. As their ship disappeared into the uncharted stars, the galaxy whispered a new story, a story not of fear, but of hope. The most feared prisoner alive had found her freedom, not through violence or escape, but through connection. And in the heart of the stars, she was finally at peace.